The phone you see in my hand is the iPhone 16e, the cheapest iPhone you can buy brand new from Apple, depending on the timing you're watching this video. I had been using the iPhone 16e for at least 6 months before I switched to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Today I'm going to review the iPhone 16e, and I hope after watching this video you'll get an idea on whether the iPhone 16e was a great choice for the $600 US. And in this video I'm also going to compare it with the iPhone 17e based on the leaks I have found on the internet. Like my previous videos, I'm going to cover the 5 major pillars of the iPhone 16e. That means design and build quality, display, performance, cameras, and battery life. As always, my name is Pinon from BD Tech. Let's begin. Let's start with the design and build quality. The iPhone 16e is a glass sandwich device. That means you'll find glass on the back and also on the front. In the middle, you'll find aluminum rail. It's neither titanium nor stainless steel. The good thing is the aluminum rails are matte finished as well as the back. So if you use the device without a case, you'll not find that many smudges or fingerprints. The button layouts on this device is typical Apple design. That means you will find power button on the right, volume control, and the action button on the left. On the top, it's pretty clean. On the bottom, you'll find the speaker, USB Type-C, and the microphone. The size of the device is pretty compact and the edges over here are pretty smooth. So using the device without a case and using the device for a longer period of time will not put a toll on your wrist. The design language over here is pretty familiar. If you have used an iPhone 13, 14, or even 15, you will not find the 16e design to be something special. Personally, I found the design of the iPhone 16e pretty boring and dull, so I'll give the iPhone 16e a 6 out of 10 in the design and build quality section. Let's talk about the display. On the front, you'll find a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display which can go up to 1200 nits. On the front, you'll also find a notch which is pretty similar to the iPhone 13 and iPhone 14. There's nothing special about this display. It can go only up to 1200 nits, so using the phone outdoors, you may struggle a bit. And it also doesn't have the anti-reflective coating like the iPhone 17 series. The notch over here is pretty distracting, especially while watching a video. And again, you'll get used to it after using the device for a while. But you'll still notice it because it takes a good chunk in the front. The display is tuned in such a way that it only produces natural-looking colors. Yes, it does support HDR and Dolby Vision, but Dolby Vision and HDR10 are for specific tasks, let's say only watching videos. But again, the brightness over here is not that impressive. Let's be honest, for 600 bucks, 1200 nits is a bit low. The iPhone 16e does have dual stereo speakers, so you'll find 2 speakers, one on the top and one on the bottom. So I'll give the iPhone 16e a 6 out of 10 in the display section. 2 points deducted for the brightness and 2 points deducted for the notch. Performance. Under the hood, you'll find Apple A18 chipset with 8 gigs of RAM. Yes, you heard me right. 8 gigs of RAM. The chipset you find over here is not same as the iPhone 16 nor the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It is a low-spec version of the actual A18 chipset. But don't get me wrong, the A18 over here is still pretty capable enough to handle anything you throw at it. Gaming, video rendering, social media, the A18 is plenty fast. And the 8 gigs of RAM over here does help a lot. Keep in mind the iPhone 16, the 16 Pro Max, even the 17 houses 8 gigs of RAM. So app retaining over here is pretty solid. But the app retaining situation changed when I upgraded to iOS 26. The iPhone 16e launched with iOS 18 and I had been using the iPhone 16e with the iOS 18 for most of the time. During that time, the iOS 18 felt pretty smooth even when I turn on the battery saving mode. But once I upgraded to iOS 26.3, I felt like the performance over here did take a toll. The background app retaining over here is not as impressive as before. And when I turn on the power saving mode, the phone stutters a lot. But it doesn't happen all the time. If I see the battery level is less than 20% and if I turn on the power saving mode, the UI over here becomes super laggy for some reason. I don't know if it is a bug of the iOS 26 because I never faced it during the iOS 18. The base storage over here is 128 gigs and the iOS 26 is a bit on the heavier side, so it takes a good chunk of the internal storage. The iPhone 16e is a pretty compact device and the chipset over here is pretty powerful as well. So during heavy usage, The phone does get hot, but I'll not say overheated. It does get warm to touch. A18 itself is a powerful chipset, but you also got to keep in mind that it is a tuned down version of the actual A18. So the heat management over here is pretty solid. Doesn't matter what you throw at it. Gaming, video rendering, social media, or other regular stuffs, it can handle it pretty well. So I'll give the iPhone 16e a 7 out of 10 in the performance section. 1 point deducted for the RAM and storage situation over here, another point deducted for the iOS version over here, and the third one for the app retaining situation. Let's talk about the camera. And trust me, it will be a quick session because you will find only one 48 megapixel camera on the back of the iPhone 16e. Yes, it can shoot up to 4K 60 FPS, but the single camera setup is not that impressive over here. Let's get this straight. In broad daylight, yes, the iPhone 16e can capture some beautiful pictures, but when the light goes down or if the subject moves too fast, the iPhone 16e can keep up that well. The limitation comes here because of the hardware itself. You will only find one camera on the back, no LiDAR sensor, no other optics to cope up or to compensate the single camera setup. So let's say if you're taking portrait photos, all the works and processing has to be done using the information from a single lens. On Pro models of the iPhone, you will see a LiDAR sensor, even on Samsung S-series smartphones. So what the LiDAR does, it helps the camera to detect the distance and depth of the subject or the object you are taking the picture of. But over here, there is no LiDAR sensor, and it is pretty hard for the single lens to keep up with the data it is required to process a good picture. On the regular 16 or the 17, they don't have LiDAR sensors, but keep in mind they do have two sensors, so they act like your own eyes. Let's understand it this way. If you cover one eye with your hand and try to map something or touch something, you'll struggle. But if you use both of your eyes, you can touch the object in front of you pretty easily. Two lenses or two eyes can help you 3D map the environment and also the object's distance. A single lens over here does struggle to do so. Don't get me wrong, the 48 megapixel camera over here is still pretty capable, but everything comes down to the pricing itself. For 600 bucks, only a single camera, it is not fair. Let's be real. The low light shots over here are pretty okay. I'll not say the best, but it is usable. Okay, let's move to the front-facing camera. On the front, you will find a single 12 megapixel camera. It is nothing special. It is just a boring 12 megapixel sensor. It takes good pictures and also can record up to 4K 60 FPS. Nothing special over here. The front-facing camera is good enough to be used daily, but personally, I wasn't satisfied with the 12 megapixel camera in the front and the picture it was producing. And one more thing to note. Personally, I use the Measure app you can find in the iPhone. I use it to map objects or even take measurement, I'll say rough measurement of the room that I'm currently working with. So the walls over here are white. As there is no LiDAR sensor, the camera can detect the edges. So I had to struggle pretty hard to get the measurement of the room. At some point, I got so frustrated that I switched to a different phone just to take the measurement. And yes, I used the 16 Pro Max and it does have a LiDAR sensor. Okay, enough bashing with the iPhone 16e cameras. Now let's talk about the good things that I have experienced with this. So the best thing about the iPhone 16e cameras is the video it produces. The color, the OIS, the videos that comes out of the iPhone 16e is top notch. Yes, you can even compare it with some other devices only if you are comparing with the main sensor. The OIS over here is also top notch. And the other good thing about the iPhone 16e cameras that you don't have to struggle on deciding which lens to use when you are shooting a photo or even taking a video. So I'll give the iPhone 16e a 5 out of 10 in the camera section. 1 point deducted for the ultra-wide camera, 2nd point deducted for the telephoto lens, 3rd point deducted for the LiDAR sensor, 4th point deducted for the mediocre front-facing camera performance, and the 5th point deducted for the average back camera performance. Battery life. As mentioned, the iPhone 16e is a compact device, but judging on Apple's history with battery size, you'll find a decent 4005 mAh battery in the iPhone 16e. The lack of cameras and LiDAR sensor allowed Apple to add bigger battery in the iPhone 16e. The battery life over here is average, and you will definitely be able to kill the device in midday. I'm a medium to light user. Even for myself, I can drain the battery of the iPhone 16e pretty quick. But it wasn't like this all the time. During the iOS 18, the battery life over here was pretty solid. Yes, I did charge the device in the evening, but the battery life of the iPhone 16e felt pretty decent during the iOS 18. Once I upgraded to iOS 26, the battery over here did take a pretty big hit. I don't know if it is because of the battery health or the iOS 16 being so heavy, but the battery health over here is around 94 or 96%. And while I was on iOS 18, the battery health was around 98 or 97%. I don't know what happened after the update, if the iOS 26 itself being so heavy or some other bugs that Apple needs to fix. I'm saying this again, battery life varies person to person. If you're a light to medium user, this phone can get you through the day, but you still may have to charge it in the evening. But if you're a heavy user, you definitely gonna have to charge the device more than twice a day. We all know the $600 smartphones in the market nowadays sometimes features 6,000, 7,000 or even 10,000 milliamp hour battery. And for that price range, the battery life over here is not that great. And the charging speed is pretty limited over here as well. 20 watts max while charging with the USB-C and 7.5 watts max while charging wirelessly. And yes, the iPhone 16e doesn't have MagSafe built into it. But personally, it doesn't matter to me because I don't like to charge my phone wirelessly. I'm more of a wired guy, and I just use a case that has built-in magnets to it. So I'll give the iPhone 16e a 6 out of 10 in the battery section. 1 point deducted for the charging speed, another point deducted for the wireless charging speed, third point deducted for the battery size itself, and fourth point deducted for the iOS 26, and also the offerings you can find in the market for $600. Conclusion. So the iPhone 16e scored a mediocre 5.8 or 6 in my review. And to get a better perspective on why the iPhone 16e scored a 6 in my review, I'm gonna point out the things that I liked and the things that I didn't like of the iPhone 16e. Things that I liked: compact size, pebble-like shape, the matte finish on the back and on the side, the action button, dual stereo speakers, video quality, and USB Type-C. Things that I didn't like: display brightness, notch on the front, USB Type-C but with USB 2.0 speed, single camera on the back, average camera performance, lack of LiDAR sensor, battery life. Now let's quickly compare it with the iPhone 17e based on the leaks I found on the internet. Things that may remain the same: design, cameras, battery size, storage, RAM. Things that may change: notch will be replaced by a dynamic island. Display may get a bit brighter. Apple may give you some extra color options. And as per the leaks, yes, the price will remain the same at $599 or $600 US. So the million-dollar question is, who is this iPhone 16e for? The answer is light users. So if you just want a brand new iPhone with a guarantee of having iOS updates for 5 to 8 years, the iPhone 16e is for you. And if you're a light user who only uses the phone to check emails, social media, and watching videos, the iPhone 16e is a good choice. And if you only take videos and photos occasionally, the iPhone 16e is still a good choice. And who should avoid the iPhone 16e? First answer, heavy user. If you're a heavy user, you should skip the iPhone 16e. If you want, you can still get it, but I will not say it will worth the $600 you will be paying for it. If you like to take videos and photos all the time, the 16e does have a lot of drawbacks because of the single camera that it has over here. If you're a traveler who loves to be outside all the time, like hiking on the beach or running, the display and the brightness over here is a bit low, so it may give you some problems. So let's wrap it up. This was the review of the iPhone 16e based on my honest review and honest opinion. So the review and the opinion may vary person to person. If you have enjoyed so far, make sure to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments regarding your opinion on the iPhone 16e and what you think about the upcoming iPhone 17e. And also let me know what device you are currently using and where are you watching this video from. Till then, peace out.